Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back with another video. I'm just joking, it's not that bad. Actually, this is post-operation voice. Like everything is basically recovered now, and I can explain that stuff later in this video. But basically, I've been having some vocal complications for the past few months. Well, most of my life, really, but like it got really bad after a particular traumatic event that happened April of 2024. Basically, one day I was just, I was on the computer, I was playing Balatro when that was pretty new. Great indie roguelike card game everyone knows, I'm sure. And I was eating chicken and rice. I just remember this because this day is just so, it changed everything for me. And I guess it must have been just like the weird, trippy. Oh, and I should also mention I took an edible, Delta 8. No longer do Delta 8 ever since this experience because, I don't, only natural. And even then, I've been weaning off of that. But yeah, I was playing Balatro, and I guess, the smooth, sort of, glitchy CRT, smooth animations might have stirred something up in my brain. Because I ended up having what I believe was some kind of mini stroke. I felt this, violent forward and backward vibration in my brain, and I thought, I genuinely thought that I was dying. I was like, I must be having a stroke or something. I go, what is this? I ended up having to lay down in bed. I think I slept for 13 hours, very poor quality sleep, because the whole time I was paranoid, oh, is that thing gonna happen again? Oh my god, what the hell's going on? And I was waking up every hour on the hour. It was the worst experience ever. But then further down the road, as the months progressed, later that year, I started noticing, because I've been running. I run less now, but was pretty active in running, training for a half marathon at the time. And I was running. I was increasing my mileage, getting a lot of good runs in around the neighborhood and stuff. And I noticed whenever I would try speaking after a run in particular, I would always just have this really raspy voice. I could barely even speak. It was just, I don't know, for 30 minutes to an hour after every run, it would be like that. And it was especially annoying in more recent times because I started going to a couple different run clubs. And whenever I'd try to talk to people post run, I'd be like, wow, great run, everyone. We killed it out, the whatever we talk about. And I could barely even speak and project my voice, and I just sounded like dog shit. And then furthermore on that, if you are subscribed to me and you know that, I used to do a lot of speedrun stuff, particularly Super Mario Sunshine for the Nintendo GameCube. I'm sure if you're expecting more of my speedrun stuff, unfortunately don't expect it anytime soon. I don't know, for the past few years I've kind of just lost motivation for that stuff. But anyway, I've been live streaming, and I had to take a break from live streaming because I did some casual streams as sort of a test, Yakuza 3 and Dead Space Remastered. And the streams were pretty good. I had fun, interacting with chat, doing all that stuff. But I would have to recalibrate my voice as I was doing these streams because I would get so much vocal fatigue just an hour into a stream. And I would start to have to use my nasally upper head voice, not the chest voice, but the upper head voice. And I would end sentences with an upward inflection, even if it wasn't a question, which I assume got pretty annoying to listen to. But I would have to do that because I was compensating for even before this traumatic thing, which, and by the way, I'm pretty sure that this traumatic thing, my biggest hints that this was what kicked this whole thing off is that now I have a deviated uvula. Your uvula, and I know that mine, for most of my life, was always straight up and down as it should be. But if you can see that, it's at a bit of an angle there, which is not normal. And I Googled it, and apparently that's a sign of potential nerve damage. And the nerves, if they're weakened on one side, it strengthens the other, and then it tilts in that direction or something. Pretty crazy, but even before the traumatic experience, even before that, I've always, and people who watch my streams, they are aware of this too, I would just have a regularity of voice cracks and just vocal inconsistencies. And my voice has always been my biggest insecurity in my life just because it doesn't cooperate. And I just gotta say, for those of you, like 98% of you watching this who have fully functioning voices, if you can just go an entire day having conversations, never even thinking about your voice quality, just never even worrying about it, you should be grateful for what you have. Just always don't take your voice for granted, because, you know, the minority of us like me who, like, I already have poor social skills, and like in 4th grade I was diagnosed with Asperger's. If you've been following my channel, that should be no surprise at all that I have such a thing. They call it, like, they no longer use the Asperger's label, but, you know, the blanket of autism, I'm definitely in that. And I'm not just saying this because it's like trendy and like, you know, Tylenol allegedly causes it, but like, I know I have an official diagnosis from, you know, my childhood. And, you know, because of that, I just have exceptionally poor social skills, which, you know, causes me to isolate quite frequently. As early as, like, you know, elementary school, I've been doing that. It's sort of like a habit of mine. I do want to make more videos like this about just like me speaking to a camera about like my own experiences. And I'll touch on that stuff later. But for now, let's focus on the voice stuff. Yeah, the poor social skills just mixed with a voice that you can never rely on anytime you even try to use it, that you also struggle to project and is like hoarse all of a sudden. Not a good combination for trying to like connect with people, because like people don't realize just how important your voice really is for people like respecting you and taking you seriously. I could always tell like the majority of people I'd interact with, like at first they'd like sort of fuck with me, but then I'd sort of get like infantilized, is that the word? Infantilized, like sort of treated as like lesser and like as like a kid almost. If your voice just doesn't command respect, you're gonna get shit on like trying to interact with people. That's just, I would know that better than most people, I'd say. And I decided, hey, you know, I don't know what this issue really is, but I'm gonna try to see an ENT. I tried to like directly get in line with an ENT, but of course you have to get a primary care physician and then have them recommend you one. You know, they sort of like expect you to understand all this healthcare stuff inherently, it seems like. When even if you've never done this stuff before, it's like, okay, just like help me out here, right? Anyway, eventually get in touch with an ENT. I have an appointment with him. He takes a little like camera like up my nostril, down my throat, looks at my vocal folds, and actually notices that I have like left vocal fold paresis or paralysis, where like essentially like the vocal cords, like they should be like synchronized and like in flux as they like open and close as you speak to produce the sound. And I guess my left vocal fold was like delayed a little bit versus my right. And any subtle change in your vocal folds can have a major impact, but my doctor says. And because of that like discrepancy, that might have also been causing like the vocal, like I might have had this even before this traumatic event, and maybe it's just accentuated now. But basically, yeah, we figured out what the issue was. I even got CT scans, which further confirmed that issue. And basically, yeah, we ultimately landed on a vocal injection procedure. And by the way, if you still don't believe how bad my voice was, here's an example of how it sounded like 15 minutes. So not even like at its worst. It was at its worst directly after a run. Here's how it sounded about 15 minutes after one of my run clubs.
It's normally not this bad, but like after I exercise, it sounds like this. So that's fun. It's been like this for a year, so just awesome.
So yeah, we land on this vocal fold injection procedure, which was initially scheduled on September 3rd. But then, of course, the day before, on September 2nd, the doctor's nurse texted me saying, oh, sorry, something came up with the doctor. We're going to have to reschedule that to a couple weeks out. You know, I send a text back, half joking, like, oh, that's such a shame. Can I maybe get like a discount on that? And of course, the nurse responds, haha, appreciate the humor. Anyway, see you on the 17th. I'm like, you know, we peons who are in this system, everything is stacked against us, right? Anyway, September 17th rolls around. I'm pretty worried. Not so much for the fact that they're going to stick a needle through my Adam's apple, which is a little bit freaky, but mainly because my brother's wedding was also like a week after this procedure, or like 10 days after. And, you know, I'm the best man and I have to give my best man speech. And if my voice doesn't work, then I guess I'm screwed. But the procedure goes really well. The doctor does a fantastic job. We They had me like suck on this tube and like inhale this gas for literally 15 minutes straight. They got that like nose camera down my up the nostril and then down my throat again. But then that contraption also dripped this liquid down there, which was supposed to numb it. And this was the worst part. When the liquid was dripping on there, I started gagging, like like seriously gagging. And the doctor was like, "Oh, don't worry, this is the worst part. You know, you're supposed to gag here, but this is supposed to remove your gag reflex and numb it some more," which it did, thankfully, but it was very uncomfortable. But then the actual injection, it was super straightforward. Just like a minute, like filling up each vocal fold, basically, like sticking the needle in, doing it. And actually, I could even show some footage because I recorded his recording from the camera of him like looking at it while injecting it.
All right, so there's the needle. We'll see the filler come out of the tip there. Right there. Okay, and so we're just pivoting to your left vocal fold first.
Mm-hmm.
See a little bit of filler kind of entering the vocal fold along the middle portion. I want a little more back here too, so I'll come out and inject a little further back just to make sure that you're happy with how that's distributed. That's pretty crazy. All right, so back to it. I'll do a little bit more. Trying to fill it out a little further. Okay, so done on that side, and then we literally just pivot over to the other.
Mm-hmm.
So nice and full there.
My voice is coming back a little bit.
Yeah, kind of, right. There's always a little bit. There's always a little bit of spasticity because you had a needle in your vocal cords. This one you'll see here kind of fill out nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Starts to plump out, kind of ballooning. There it goes, nice and full there. So perfect, nice and plump on either side.
All right, it's the next morning and I'm about to go to work. And my voice is not doing a whole lot better, but I'm hoping that it, you know, maybe like in a couple days it really like gets into itself. Sup? It's day. All right, it is now the evening after the day that I got my injection done, and my voice it's a little better than it was yesterday. It's recovering slowly. I just gotta be patient. My voice it sounds very different. It's kind of weird, but like. And I have to use quite a bit of effort to like really speak, but it is like, you know, it's coming into form. The vocal folds must be just, you know, evening out in a way because, you know, they get injected. It's not going to be like perfectly, you know, symmetrical when it's done. And like, you know, my ENT even told me like any minor, like any subtle change in your vocal folds can like have a big impact. So like the evening out process, I'm sure like once it gets going, it should be better. But I'm able to speak, you know, it's less shaky than it was yesterday. It was a little bit embarrassing at work. I was like trying to like explain to everybody. They recommend that you don't speak that much, you know, the first like 2 to 3 days after you get the injection. But I was speaking more than I ever normally would at work because I was explaining like I would have to talk to someone and then explain, "Oh, sorry, I got a procedure done. I sound weird right now." So I'd ironically be talking more, which might have messed things up slightly. I don't think it really messed things up too much. But, you know, I sound very different. I still like, just hearing how I sound in my head, it's like, what the hell? But, you know, maybe I'll get used to it and maybe it'll be more normal, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. So, yeah. I discovered something weird yesterday. So I went to the gym yesterday morning and today morning, like just now. And for some reason, my voice seems to be better after I go to the gym. Like, before I had this injection done, after I would exercise, my voice would actually get worse. But now I'm having the opposite effect. Basically, everything is like reversed. It's like flipped on its head, where like previously, first thing in the morning when it was like my voice was rested, my voice was at its best. Now, first thing in the morning, my voice is at its worst because it's like still warming up or something. But I mean, as the day goes on, it doesn't get like too much better. And if I use it more, I guess it still gets pretty tired. But after I like exercise, my voice actually gets better. And I don't know why that would be. I mean, my theory is that like maybe exercise makes the vocal folds like open up a little bit. And because I had them injected and like really blown up, maybe like normally in the day, like as it's still in recovery mode, they're too big and they're like, you know, they're so forced together. It's like hard to get the voice to get produced. But my voice sounds pretty good right now, and like actually talking doesn't feel too bad whatsoever. But I had this like false hope, the same thing yesterday, where like it's like, oh yeah, my voice is getting so much better, it's really recovering, hell yeah. But then as the day went on, like a few hours after the exercise happened, it sort of like almost reverted back to that stage that it was in like a few days ago, right after I got the procedure done. So it's not like long term better, but it does give me hope. And I don't know. I guess we'll just see where it goes from here. It hasn't even been a week yet, so I'll just give it more time. I learned about these like vocal exercises you can do. Like there's like a siren technique where you start low and then go high and then low again. Ooh. Dude, I can't do the low one. Ooh. Dude, like the low shit. I fuck. So yeah, that landed me at where I am now. This is the day after my brother's wedding. Best man speech went fantastic, by the way. I'm actually surprised how well it went. It's also worth noting that this injection is only a temporary fix. It only lasts for like 4 to 6 months, I believe, depending on the person. But it's supposed, and I think it is mostly working. But I'm not like fully confident that it's fixed the underlying like nerve damage I might have. There's a weird thing where like after I'm done speaking, like I felt it just there. After I finish speaking, I can feel like my soft palate or like the roof of my mouth sort of like quickly raise and then lower, like it flexes in a certain way. And it makes like this clicky noise in my throat that like no one else can hear, but like I hear it like internally. It's super weird. And like that's not normal, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, it feels like it's a lot better than it was before. I should be able to stream without as many issues. I'm really focusing on myself even more than I already do because, I sort of isolate myself, the whole autism thing. But I've been doing another kind of SR. So I guess I'm transitioning from the SR of speedrunning to semen retention, which if you know what that is no masturbation, no ejaculation, no porn, none of that. Well, you can look at porn, but like I'm not doing that. Like no edging, any of that stuff. And I'm currently on a 72-day streak. I would like to make a couple videos like sort of outlining my whole experience because I sort of journaled. I have it up right here actually, documenting like, okay, like day 47, this weird shit happened, or like there was a whole process to it. It was extremely difficult to have the willpower at first, but it's sort of, I'll get into it in other videos. Basically, the voice thing, it's a lot better now. Don't take your voice for granted. If you have a normal functioning voice that most people do, and don't have to worry about getting some crazy injection that like may or may not even work or anything, consider yourself lucky, be very grateful. But yeah, I'd like to make more videos, the semen retention. I think more men, obviously, should, really focus on their sexual discipline. There's like a whole spiritual aspect to it that I've sort of been cultivating in my life. I mean, if this is the direction my channel is going to go after the long hiatus I took, I mean, if you're down, stay subscribed if you want. If you would rather just see my stuff I did before, unsubscribe, I guess. I guess I'd rather make videos than not make videos because retaining my seed, it's just sort of giving me the energy to like want to do more, and I just want to like do things. So more on that later. My chair made a really loud noise. Have a good one. Peace. I always say peace, right? It's been so long. Okay. Bye.